Hello, this is Todd. Welcome to the Lyceum Weekly Update number 31 for the week of July 28th, 2014. The band of the week this week, who you'll be hearing underneath this video, are Smotherbox. They're a Sydney band, obviously like every band that's been band of the week since I started. They're like funk, metal. Their live show is incredible. That's why I'm going to be seeing them this week at Brighton Up Bar on Saturday. If you want to check them out and you want to see just an insanity on stage with blow-up dolls flying all over the place and a guy fucking and sodomizing another guy, then this is the gig that you want to go to. Starting off with launch gigs, on Wednesday the 23rd, there's going to be a jazz CD launch at Foundry 616 in Ultimo for $17, and that is with Polymorphic Orchestra. As well as an indie rock EP launch at Frankie's Pizza by the Slice, and that is with Jugular Cuts. Then on Friday the 25th, there's going to be an alternative and progressive rock double album launch that's happening at Boldface Stag in Leichhardt for $15 with Toehider from Melbourne and Anubis. Then a hip-hop EP launch at Brighton Up Bar in Darlinghurst, that's $10 with Pizzo from Melbourne. Kind of like Pez, but with more of an Ezo. And also an indie rock EP launch that's happening at the King's Cross Hotel in King's Cross, also known as FBI Social, and that is $10 with The High and Lonesome. Then on Saturday the 26th, there's going to be a punk rock album launch at Brighton Up Bar in Darlinghurst for $15 with I Am Duck Eye, which is also the gig that Smotherbox is playing and a whole bunch of other awesome bands. Go to it! A side note that I forgot in my excitement, I Am Duck Eye are from Melbourne. As well as an alternative pop rock single launch at the Exchange Hotel in Darlinghurst in the Spectrum Bar, that's $10 with Date Night at the Museum. Which is kind of funny because on their Facebook page it says Date Night ATM, just to make it a bit shorter, but I see ATM and I immediately thought ass to mouth. Dude, it's a reasonable thing to conclude. Date Night, ass to mouth. Moving on, there is a punk rock album launch that's going to happen at the Factory Theatre in Marrickville in the factory floor. That is $10 with Epics. I don't think I have the voice to really give Epics the proper tone that it needs. It needs to be like, Epics! Epics! Maybe both of those together at the exact same time. Epics! There is also an alternative indie rock vinyl EP launch that's happening at the King's Cross Hotel in King's Cross, also known as FBI Social. That is $10 with Tender Bones from Melbourne, who are actually kind of cool. I listened to him. Upon immediately listening to him, I bought the vinyl EP because they sounded awesome. And it's on Bandcamp, so you get the digital download anyway, so it's not like you're stuck with the vinyl if you can't play vinyls. And there is also a death metal album launch at Valve Bar in Sydney. That's $10 with Infested Entrails. Special gigs on Thursday the 24th, there's going to be some punk, pop and progressive music at the Exchange Hotel in Darlinghurst. They're also going to have a bouncy castle and they'll be projecting the Mighty Boosh onto a screen of some sort just to play through the episodes. That's part of Hot Damn and bands that are playing Forever Ends Here, Undercast, Sidelines from Melbourne, Brightener and Mixtape for the Drive. But bouncy castle, Mighty Boosh! If you aren't a fan of one, then you're a fan of the other, and if you aren't, you're dead to me. And on Friday the 25th, Venom, which used to be at the Valve Bar, now it's at the Exchange Hotel in Darlinghurst. They were just doing DJ gigs of metal for a long, long time. They've brought bands back, so they're going to have live bands again. This time it's going to happen Friday, like I just said. $15 at the Exchange Hotel in the Spectrum Bar area, so a bunch of metal bands like Antonomasia, The World in Cinematic, Double Chamber, and Before Sayada. Or Ciara, I don't know. Then on Saturday the 26th is going to be the Witch's Ball, where you can dress up as a pagan and you can dress up as a witch. There's going to be prizes for best dressed. It is $30 at the Boldface Stag in Leichhardt, and there's also going to be 3 sets from the Cricket Fiddle Band that really fits in the whole, like, you know, gypsy, folk, metal. And Sunday the 27th, there's going to be some soul pop rock fundraiser, and that is a fundraiser for Animals Australia. It is $20 at the Jam Gallery in Bondi with bands like Righteous Voodoo, Christy Steves, Lana Ritter, Gang of Brothers, The Frocks, lots of different bands, mix of originals, mix of covers, all to help out animals. Like Phoenix! Okay, get the fuck out of here. What? I love my dog. Don't judge me. There's also going to be the alternative rock and roll market that happens, I think it's happening like once a month now, and it's at the Manning Bar in Chippendale. There's stalls, there's shops, there's a bunch of like ska punk rock that goes on as well, and it's $5 to get in, free for any kids under 12, and the bands they're playing are the Oscars, Papa Pilko and the Bin Rats, Men Into Space, and Danny and the Cosmic Tremors. And finally, for special gigs, there's going to be a blues rock and roll fundraiser for 2RRR to celebrate their 30th anniversary, 30 years in broadcasting. That is happening at the Petersham Bowling Club in Petersham from 3 p.m. It's $10, kids get in free, and bands that are playing are Carrie Phyllis and the Downtown 3, Bunt, the Men from Uncle, Balkan Grill, and Boris Driver. Now onto news. Only one news story this week. New alcohol bans for the Sydney CBD. They came in over this previous weekend, implementing a lot of laws that were talked about back in May. So this includes more police on public transport to take down people who are pre-drinking. There will be new RSA training for bar staff. There will also be a venue ban for anyone who are wearing motorcycle gang colours. And there will also be taxi and RSA marshals patrolling the CBD, which honestly, that is something that probably should have been implemented in the first place, because RSA marshals, one of the big problems is that there are venues who are still selling alcohol to people who shouldn't be cut off, and whenever there's a problem and they kick someone out, the venue's responsibility is supposed to be to get them into a taxi, get them onto something to take them home. It's not to just shove them out into the street to then get pissed off and punch someone. So something like RSA marshals is beneficial, and that's something that should have come in the first place, because then they can actually crack down on the venues, actually give them fines. But the new laws that have to do directly with alcohol include no shots, doubles, or pre-mixed drinks over 5% alcohol after midnight. This excludes cocktails, so drink as many fucking cocktails as you want. No buying more than 4 drinks at one time after midnight, and also no buying more than 2 drinks at one time after 2 a.m, and no liquor service at all between 3 a.m and 5 a.m. That was something that people were doing before the cease of alcohol service happened, was they were just buying a whole bunch of drinks and then having them last that period of time. So these laws are trying to stop people from doing that. And also the 3 a.m to 5 a.m cease of alcohol service, that's how it's always been. It's just that the original law was so fucking vague that they now had to bring in some law to actually say what it was. There has been talk that there has been a drop in alcohol-related violence admissions to the St. Vincent's Hospital. One thing that someone has pointed out is that that's just for alcohol, they're not including drug-related incidents, because that could spike as a result of the alcohol being low. In the end, I feel like it's the taxi and the RSA marshals who will really make a difference. The issue with that is that their efforts and any kind of improvement that happens as a result of them patrolling the CBD can be attributed to every other piece of law that's come in that's done more so to make the city dead during the night than it has to benefit it. Now comes a time when I usually throw my paper up in the air in a big display of extravagance, but Phoenix is right down by my feet and he is really scared of paper, so I'm just gonna... I love you, buddy. You're my boy. You're my boy! He's my boy. That is it for the weekly update this week, so if you want to check out the gig guide, that's already up on the website, so what the fuck are you doing here? Go to the website, check out what's happening this week in live music, all the way from Sydney out to Katoomba. Every single event, every single band is linked, so it's easy to discover something new and just click on a band that you like. I have pulled back some content the Lyceum is doing, mainly the playlists are no more, which I talked about before, but also the launch updates during the week. They really aren't going to be happening anymore, mainly because of the amount of time that has to be put into it, and this weekly update kind of makes those redundant. So you can follow us all over the internet, either on our website, on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook. You can get news updates throughout the week. Be sure to share the Lyceum around and the gig guide to other live music lovers, get them onto it, help them find new bands, discover a bunch of new music, discover a bunch of new venues, and be sure I've run the most comprehensive online gig guide in the whole of Sydney. I will see you next week with another roundup of launches and news updates. Until then, be good!